Hi, I'm Mercy, and I'm coming out of hiding. And to me, coming out of hiding means not being ashamed of what God has done for me, just being proud of who God is to me and everything He's done for me. For me, growing up, I remember just feeling really rejected and unloved, and it wasn't because I wasn't loved. I was put in boarding school at a very early age. I can't remember the exact age, but literally people were still carrying me like when I started boarding school because I was that young. And that's basically how I grew up. I figured out a lot of things myself. And but I didn't realize what was going on the inside of me. I just didn't feel loved. And I didn't realize it until it came a point I went to boarding school really far from home. Like, this was in Nigeria, by the way. So it was another state, and at this point my mum was abroad. She was in the UK, and I just felt so alone. Like, does anybody actually care? Like, I'm here all by myself. I spent, most of my life just in boarding school with other people, not with family. I wasn't used to family. I wasn't used to that kind of environment. So yeah, I spent a lot of time just feeling alone, unloved, unwanted, rejected. And yeah, that feeling was there. It just remained there in me. I didn't really speak to anybody about it. I just sort of carried it with me. Fast forward, I came to the United Kingdom, and I obviously started school. I remember starting in year 8, and obviously I'm from Nigeria, I'm fresh. I didn't look like everyone else, I didn't dress like anybody else, I didn't speak like everyone else, so it was a gateway to bullying. And I was bullied, and again, that feeling of rejection, you just sort of, everything that was already there sort of multiplied with what was going on, and I was just like, yeah. Obviously I had racism as well, to me, obviously, this African girl, what are you doing here? So yeah, all of that, and then I went to university now. Obviously I kept feeling like that all through secondary school, college. I remember I used to self-harm all the time. I used to cut myself because I just didn't feel worth anything. I just felt nobody wanted me alive, nobody cared. And I remember one time I got my A-level results and they were really bad. And I saw the results and I was like, my life is over, my mom is going to kill me. And I remember just reaching for a blade and I just cut myself. Like, usually, people that self-harm, you cut yourself somewhere that's hidden. But this time, I wasn't thinking properly. I just cut myself, on my hand. And my mom saw it and she was like, oh, like, what happened? I was like, nothing. I was trying to hide it, I do it all the time, I'm used to hiding it. She was like, what happened? What happened to that? Did you cut yourself? And that was it. My dad found out. At that time, my dad was working away from home, so he was working outside London, so he wasn't actually home. But I remember my dad speaking to me and just explaining to me, when you do something in isolation, you kind of don't see what's wrong about it. Like, you don't know the fullness of what's wrong about it. So, but when my parents found out, my dad spoke to me, it actually opened my eyes to what I was doing to myself and how I felt about myself. Like, you really don't love yourself. And my dad basically told me, I think he said something along the lines of, you're hurting God by doing this or something like that. And that was powerful enough to make me stop. But obviously I stopped the physical action of hurting myself, but I still had all the pain in me and that feeling of just rejection in me. And like I said, it wasn't because my parents were bad parents. Like, even putting me in boarding school was them trying to give me the best. But obviously, emotionally, I didn't handle that, in the best way. So basically, all of that happened, and then I went to university. And okay, in between, there was a little, then you always try and bring things to derail you. I had this guy I was really infatuated with, and obviously being somebody that felt the way I felt, when there's a guy on the scene, I sort of made him my idol. I wasn't with him, he wasn't my boyfriend. It was just a guy I spoke to a lot, and you know, it became a big idol in my mind. So in a way that affected, obviously I knew God, you know, this whole time I was a Christian, I was going to church, I was serving, I was leading praise and worship, doing all of these things. But when you have pain and you don't deal with it, it doesn't matter how much you serve or how much you read your Bible, you need to still deal with that pain and face it firsthand. But that pain basically just opened up, you know, a lot of other things. Yeah, so fast forward, went to university now, and praise God for uni, because that was where I found a fellowship of people, a campus fellowship where I just sort of felt at home. I could feel the presence of God, and I just sort of felt, and I remember the summer before uni, I just kept going to every event I heard about, every Christian event, because I just wanted God, and I just felt like I wasn't finding it. And obviously that feeling was in there. I think it was just that feeling of wanting to be loved. So I was just going to every event, every youth event, I was there, like, you know, what's going on. Then I remember going to a service in Salem, and I really felt the presence of God. I was so happy, okay, this is at uni, I can come here every week and, you know, see where we go from there. So I remember going, and after a while, I joined the choir. You know, I didn't want to join at first. I joined the choir, and obviously that made me more involved in the fellowship. And after being a little bit more involved, you know, we had prayers. I joined the prayer team as well. Like I said, you know, I was hungry. Like, I needed to feel fulfillment. Even, you know, that person that I mentioned earlier that I was infatuated with, it wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. It was more of an idol in me. So yeah, I needed fulfillment. So I was going to everything. I was going to prayer, and at a point, it came a point where I had this amazing encounter with God. I can't explain it to you, to be honest, but something happened one day when we were praying, and it was like the Holy Spirit just brought to the surface everything that was in me that had been suppressing, all of the pain. And basically he was the one that showed me what my pain was. You know, when you're just going around depressed and just not understanding life, that was me most of my life. I didn't understand why I was the way that I was, but you know, after encountering God, the Holy Spirit showed me, this is why you've been, you know, in pain, this is why you're acting this way and that way. So after God showed me, obviously it's funny, when God shows you yourself, you're actually shocked that that's you. You actually, you know, sort of don't believe it at first. So then I realized, okay, this is something that needs to be dealt with. Went through a process of deliverance and healing as well, where God just took me through day by day, and he actually showed me what love meant. He actually showed me, I remember, you know, during this time period as well, my cousin, she died. She was like my my big sis. Like, she lived in my house. She taught me how to do makeup. She taught me how to do my thread my eyebrows, all of these things. And I remember when she died, I was just like, okay, what do I do now? But I think for me, that process brought me so close to God in a way that I can't explain. Like, I felt like nobody else understood how I felt. Nobody else could understand my pain. And in that time, thank God, I was, you know, in that fellowship, I was around people that were God-minded. So yes, they were there for me, but I felt like only God understood my pain. And that, you know, situation in itself brought me so close to God. And I think that was when I found that all of the fulfillment that I need is going to come from here, is going to come from God. Even though, you know, growing up, you didn't feel as loved as you wanted to, but, you know, this is actually where it is. It's not found in anything or anybody else. And obviously that began my walk, my journey with God proper. I think before, you know, when I was serving in church, I was actually really fearful of God. I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want judgment to come, and I wasn't in church or something like that. I didn't want to go to hell. That was my reason for serving God. It wasn't because I loved him the way I'd now found him. And I remember, you know, spending time with God. You know, all I used to hear was God saying, you know, I want to be your friend. I want to be your friend. And for a person that had a lot of rejection issues, And my relationship with God was fear. Like, I'm serving you because I don't want wrath. So me hearing God tell me I want to be your friend was amazing. Like, you know, what more acceptance do I need? And everything, the way that I saw God, everything changed. Like, oh, like, this is a relationship. Okay, let's have a relationship. And these are things that I knew theoretically, but in my life it wasn't evident that I knew, you know, a walk with God is about relationship. It wasn't. So basically, so started spending time with God, a lot of time with God on my own. I feel like, you know, God brought me to a friendship with Him, took away idols in my life that had things that I tried to use to feel accepted, feel loved. And yeah, just basically just delivered me from that. And till today, by God's grace, He's kept me standing. It's been a walk of trying to be consistent and focused on Him, because sometimes when God brings you out, the enemy, you know, tries to distract you. You know, you feel like I'm cool, I'm living life, but you know, it's a consistent process that I'm still, you know, in. But praise God for delivering me from everything. I'm out of hiding. Yes, that's it. Come out of hiding.
Amen. How do you feel? I didn't say amen.
I feel like I was waffling.
No,